Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for being here. We've compiled a few questions for you, and really appreciate your thoughts on these. First, will you define feminine and masculine in the Bhakti tradition and explain the importance of using these words specifically when discussing the nature of the soul? Using the words feminine and masculine.
Feminine and masculine.
Yes, and like what they mean precisely in the Bhakti tradition.
In the Bhakti tradition, feminine and masculine. Well, Hare Krishna. It all starts with Krishna. Of course, feminine, in Vedic theology, in Vedic culture, the masculine is predominator and feminine is predominated. Masculine is the support and feminine is the supported. The original masculine is Krishna. He's the supreme support of everything and the supreme enjoyer of everything. And his feminine counterpart is Srimati Radharani. That's the original masculine and feminine. Krishna is the possessor of all energies. That Srimati Radharani is the principal energy. And their identities are displayed in loving dealings in the spiritual world, of which there's description you can find in Krishna books, Srimad Bhagavatam. In the material world, we have masculine and feminine, which are, what should we say, poor copies of the original, and which take on the nature of being false identities. I identify myself as masculine, I identify myself as feminine, but these rest on the mistaken identity that I'm the body, which I'm not. So the person who's in a man's body this life may be in a woman's body the next life. Woman's body may be in the woman may be in the man's body the next time. But I think I'm a man, I'm a woman. This is called Maya, false or illusion or false identification. That said, I guess we need it, but I'm struggling with a really tough respiratory infection. This isn't going to help. Maybe you can turn it down or something. I know that we don't want to bake in here, but if it can be a little less aggressive at least. That said, in the Vedic culture, there are different roles assumed by those who've accepted male or female bodies. But maybe I don't know how far you want to go with this question or in what direction you want to go with this question, because it can go in many different ways. But in relationship to Krishna, everyone is feminine, because everyone is under Krishna's control and meant to exist in a happy relationship with Krishna that way. But everyone's feminine doesn't mean, all the men paint their nails and all of that. There are a sect of people who do that. They think that this is how they enter a relationship with Krishna. The guys will put on a sari and whatever else they may do. But that's not accepted by the standard teachers. More, or is that okay?
Thank you for your answer.
That's okay. Okay.
I believe that was wonderful. Thank you.
Mm.
We have other questions if you're ready to move on.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. The next question is, what is the most difficult question you have been asked? And
That
the
was
answer.
just it. What's the most difficult question? I'll have to puzzle over that for a few days and I'll get back to you.
Okay. Thank you. Great. We will move on to the next question then, if that's all right with you. Thank you. What is the purpose of suffering?
What is the purpose of suffering? In one sense, it depends on the person, how we take suffering. But if we take suffering as an opportunity for spiritual advancement, that's the best way to take it. Suffering has different causes, and there's just natural sufferings caused by the environment or what have you. And there's sufferings we bring upon ourselves. We overeat, we do things that are going to make us suffer. We steal the wife of a heavyweight wrestler. So we can bring suffering on ourselves. But if we take it that whatever suffering we're undergoing is meant for our spiritual progress, then that's the best way to take it. All right, let me, atmakritam vipakam. It's my own fault. I've accepted the material body. I'm trying to exploit the resources of the material world. Now I'm getting slammed. Blame myself. And use it as an opportunity to increase my dependence on Krishna. Yes. Is that okay?
Yes, thank you very much. Our next question was, is enlightenment a finish line?
Is enlightenment
a finish line?
A finish line. It can be. There are those who take enlightenment as that when you're enlightened, you become one with God, you merge with God. All dualities are over. Then you've reached the finish line because everything is finished. Your identity is finished. If we merge with God, if we give up our individuality, then it's the finish line because we no longer exist as individuals. But that's not the desired finish line. Or even if we take it from another angle, by enlightenment, what do we mean? If we mean understanding that we're spiritual beings, understanding the illusory nature of this world, then enlightenment is the beginning of spiritual progress. Brahmabhuta prasannatma nashojati nakankshati samasarveshu bhuteshu vad bhaktim labhate param. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that those who become self-realized, enlightened, Brahmabhuta, are free from hankering and lamentation. Materialists are always hankering for what they don't have, lamenting for what they've lost. Or why materialists? All of us, we hanker for what we don't have. We lament for what we've lost. But when one comes to the spiritual platform, Nashochati Nakankshi, he's no longer hankering and lamenting. Samasarveshu Bhuteshu sees everything with equal vision, everyone with equal vision. And that's generally thought of as enlightenment. But Krishna says from that position of enlightenment, one can go on and engage in bhakti or devotional service to me. So, in that sense, enlightenment is the starting line. Another question? Is that it?
Yes, thank you very much. We do have more questions.
Okay.
The next question is, what does a truly lived life look like?
What does a truly lived life look like? Looks different depending on who's living it. It's not cookie cutter. It's not that a truly lived life is the same for everyone. It's different because everyone's individual. Everyone's individual. So not that I live a truly lived life, you live a truly lived life, and therefore we both look the same and do the same things. It's going to be different. It must be different. But it will be in relationship to Krishna. The perfectly lived life is a Krishna conscious life. But what a Krishna conscious life is, that depends on each individual. It's not going to be the same for everyone. Everyone may chant Hare Krishna, but then someone likes to sing, someone likes to paint, someone likes to keep the accounts, someone likes to distribute books, someone likes to read books, someone likes to do this, someone likes to do that, someone likes to cook, someone likes to eat. So it will be different. We all have our different natures, but we can all be engaged in Krishna's service. Yes.
Thank you very much. The next question is, in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is compelled to fight and kill his own family by Krishna urging him.
In the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is compelled to fight and kill his enemies.
His enemies, right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yes,
his family. So currently we see religious groups on both sides claiming their fighting is righteous and divinely sanctioned. How do we...
we see religious groups fighting on both sides?
Claiming that their fighting is religiously sanctioned or divinely sanctioned.
I tend to think this is overplayed. Religions are fighting, and there's a war in the Middle East, and it's all about religion. I don't really buy it. The Afghan war was about religion. Give us a break. It's about geostrategy, about power, especially, not the small local powers, but the big powers, like the one that runs our little corner of the world here. And then, we have to explain to the public, we can't go, listen, these people have a lot of stuff we want, so we're going to bomb the hell out of them and take their territory. You can't say that in a democratic nation. That doesn't fly very well. So you have to say something like they're terrorists, or we have to restore democracy in the region, or it's a dangerous conflict between two religions. You have to say something like that. You can't just tell it like it is, because you won't get popular backing. When you look at the big wars that have been fought over when I was growing up, the big war was Vietnam. What did that have to do with religion? My father was in, I guess it was the Korean War, and there was World War II before that. What did they have to do with religion? And then the Falklands War, and this war, and that war. you know, it's all about a clash of civilizations and all that kind of stuff. Come on. We don't really buy it. Yeah.
It's very interesting. Thank you very much. We do have other questions, but we were told to, after 5, offer it to the rest of the group. So I just
Can let some other
wanted-
people ask questions. Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Thank you.
Fine. Was that okay about, you know, religion is fine? You know, it's easier when you don't read the newspaper because then you get a better perspective on things. Okay. Other questions? From another point of view, Arjuna is being asked to fight on religious principles, Dharma Yuddha. But those religious principles are not Hindu religion, Christian religion, Muslim religion, Jain religion. It's not that. It's on the principles of justice, on the principles of righteousness, on the principles of duty, not on the principles of, you know, my religion, your religion. Dharma, but dharma doesn't mean just religion. People take it that religion, even, well, I won't go into Islam, but in at least in Vedic theology, it's not that there's a religion that we fight for. We fight for dharma. But dharma is something else again. If someone, you know, attacks your sister on the street, then it's dharma that you punch him in the face. It's not, you know, the Hindu thing to do or the Christian thing to do. It's a civilized thing to do. You know, civilization, what is that? Women are to be protected, to be honored. You can't do that. So that's dharma. It's not my religion, your religion. Is that good? Okay. They were at Kurukshetra. It's not that they were arguing over religion, although it was Dharma Yuddha. It's the archetypical dharmic battle over dharma. But the adharma was that they were transgressing the principles of civilized life, and therefore they had to be challenged.
Good evening, class. I'm a new follower or participant. I just have a simple question, but it's kind of like an opinion base. What do you feel like is the reason or the purpose for evil or temptation of sinful things on earth?
What's the reason for evil or the temptation of sinful things on earth? Yeah. Well, this world is the world where we turn away from God. That's the nature of, that's what the world is. It's a place where we become self-centered rather than God-centered. And then we become responsible for evil. We become responsible. It's not that God is creating evil and, you know, is going around planting little seeds of evil all over the world. We're doing that by forgetting our connection with God. Otherwise, the person who's connected with God he only does good. But when we forget our relationship with God, then we create evil. And the effect multiplies because I create evil for you, you create evil for me. We get together in little groups and create, you know, more evil, or big groups and create more evil. much more can be said, but is that okay as a start?
That's okay for now.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi Krishna, good evening.
Hare Krishna.
I'm having a wonderful journey duplicating the ministry of Jesus. And by doing that, it seemed like you opened a can of worms.
Now, maybe I need that relayed a little bit because I'm half deaf and you're in the back of the room. You're having a wonderful journey regarding the ministry of Peter.
No, Jesus, duplicating
Jesus.
the ministry of Jesus.
Okay, I wasn't too far off.
No, you were close. You're very close. They work together. And I am having a very challenging time right now, even though it's a wonderful experience. It feel like I'm I go to church.
You go to church.
I go to
And you're
church.
having a challenging time now because you're having a good experience, but
Yes, I'm having a good experience with Jesus' journey personally, as you mentioned, individually. However, it's somewhat challenging for me in the church because I sometimes feel like I'm walking with one Jesus and they're walking with another Jesus. So, how must I put it? I'm in the center and I'm trying to like make balance, but it's very difficult. So how do I address that
How do
matter
you
without
address this?
offending anyone?
You're very much committed to a journey with Jesus, but the church seems to be walking in one direction with Jesus and you feel like you're walking in another. And so you're feeling a conflict there. So how do you deal with that? Well, the first thing is that the teachings are paramount. Institutions are meant to serve the teachings. Any religious institution, if it's a Buddhist institution, then it should be there to serve the teachings of Buddha. If it's a Christian institution, it should serve the teachings of Jesus. So our loyalty should be, first of all, to the teacher. And then to the extent that we're helped, then the institution is welcome. Institutions will always have their problems because they're, what can you say? Because they're institutions. Institutions can't exist without problems. It's just the nature of the beast. It has to have difficulty. But if we find that the institution helps us in some ways, all right, then we accept that. But it may not be that. But my final loyalty is to Jesus or to Krishna or to Buddha or to Muhammad. And then in that relation, yes, the church is helping me, the mosque is helping me, the temple is helping me. So then, all right. And to the extent that they don't help me, then I may be less involved. While they're holding their meeting, I'll go and read my Bible.
What is the connection with Jesus and Krishna? I asked this
Connection
all the time.
between Jesus and Krishna. Who is Jesus? Jesus says that he's the Son of God. And Krishna says that he's God. So Jesus says, love my Father, and Krishna says, love me. So there's what would you say? So they fit together. They fit together. Jesus is sitting on the right hand of God. He's not sitting on the right hand of himself. He's the Son of God. And Krishna's God. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes.
I have a quick question. Going back to, thank you, Hare Krishna. Going
Just
back to,
remember that the microphone is only for the tape.
oh, so I'm just
I-
holding it, right?
so
It's not doing
it
it.
doesn't help me. You have to
Oh,
be a
okay.
little louder. If you would.
So back to the question about Dharma, and let's put it as like you mentioned the example of punching the guy that's mean to your sister.
Yeah.
So do you feel that it's okay that to want justice per se, and
It's not
still
just for justice, but that's protection.
okay,
The duty, it's a duty to see that women are protected,
right,
or anyone who's in need of, what would you say, support, who's vulnerable.
right,
Anyone who's vulnerable should not be exploited. They should be protected. That's not it's a sectarian principle. And so it's duty. It's not just because we want to see that someone gets his comeuppance, but
Right.
you can't create mischief. Not that I'll stand there and tolerate. There's a great story. This is totally mundane, but I like it. It's from Solzhenitsyn's book about the Gulag Archipelago. Back in the Soviet days, when if you raised an eyebrow at someone in the uniform, you could spend the next 30 years digging your way out of the snow somewhere. And there were some soldiers, 2 or 3, some guys, some soldiers, and they were pestering an old lady on the street. They were just being brutish. And there were a couple of young women there, and they just tongue lashed the soldiers. They just tongue lashed them. These are your mothers, and how can you behave like this, like animals? And that was a risky thing to do, but that's what they did. They were gutsy, and the soldiers backed down. They knew it. Oh, it's not that you always have to punch someone in the face. I was talking to a policeman in the New York subway last year. He had he had a bully club, and he had a taser and a gun. And we were chatting a little bit, and I asked him a couple questions about the taser, and he answered my questions. He said, my best weapon is my mouth.
Good answer. Yeah. Good answer.
Not that we first thing have to reach for a gun or a taser or a bully club. He said, my first weapon, that usually is enough.
Yeah.
So it's not that we have to pull out a cannon to kill a mosquito.
I like
But
that.
the appropriate use of force, actually, that's dharma. It's not that you just break out a cyclone every time there's an issue. Break out the heavy artillery, but the appropriate use of force. That was the art of the Kshatriyas, the warriors. Not that they just willy-nilly turned everything into a brawl, but they appropriately used force for the protection of those in need.
But really fast, but beyond that, let's say the person being abused in whatever way, as far as enlightenment, you can ascend higher and forgive because you know where.
The person being abused may forgive and may tolerate and so on, but the duty of the person, of a policeman.
Right, but what if you don't have that, let's say?
What if you don't
Like
have?
what coming from the person abused, just as far as not like past forgiveness where wanting justice or wanting support, but you don't have either, let's say.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about in Dharma, we send love to even our enemies, right?
Yeah, there's a classic discussion in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Dharma takes the role of a bull.
Yeah.
And the cow and the bull are are talking because the bull is being beaten by the personality of Kali, the personified age of quarrel.
Right.
And the and then Parikshit Maharaj, who's the ideal king, comes upon the bull and sees how he's been beaten and asks who's responsible. And the bull gives very evasive answers. He says, well, according to some, it's this, and according to some, it's that. Because the bull has a very refined sense of Dharma and doesn't think that, well, it's just this guy's responsible for my trouble. We were discussing that earlier, if I'm undergoing some suffering, it's easy to say, well, it's your fault. She's being mean to me, and that's why I'm suffering. But from another point of view, well, it's my own karma. It's due to my own past misdeeds. And if I blame it on her, then I'm just, what's the word? Avoiding my own responsibility or trying to escape my own responsibility. So the bull was quite judicious about that. Yeah.
Okay, good. That last part answered it. Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I keep hearing to ask about forgiveness, but the question in my heart is, what disconnects us from Krishna and love? Or more importantly, what connects us back to Krishna and love?
What disconnects us from Krishna and love, and what can reconnect us to Krishna and love?
Yes. Thanks.
What disconnects us from Krishna is when we go looking for love elsewhere.
Okay.
Right?
That answers the question. That's it.
And then the answer to the second question follows naturally.
Yeah, basically. Thank you.
Hare
Anyone
Krishna.
else?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
What are some lessons that you feel maybe aren't spoken of a lot from Prabhupada? Things that maybe you personally learned, or that you think should be taught?
Lessons that Prabhupada taught that aren't spoken of so much?
Or maybe that you learned from him?
Or that I learned from him? Oh, that's an interesting question. Trying to think if I learned something special that nobody else learned. Usually, I'm not that special. Let's see. Well, I'll tell you a favorite story of mine, actually. I don't know if it's something special I learned or not, but I was on a morning walk with Srila Prabhupada in our center in Mayapur, India. And there were a lot of senior men on the walk. They were sort of senior in the in institutional responsibilities, or they were sannyasis. Back then, I wasn't a sannyasi, so I was a little bit more rank and file. I've been around for a while, quite a while, but I was still a little junior in that sense. And I had a little bit of I'd been around long enough to get on the walk. There were lots of others who weren't there, so at least that much. And I asked Srila Prabhupada a question. I said, Srila Prabhupada, sometimes from the material point of view, it seems like the spiritual master makes mistakes. And Prabhupada said, that is material point of view. That is material point of view. Then I said, well, Srila Prabhupada, sometimes even in spiritual things, we see that the spiritual master may make mistakes. He may quote a verse wrong, or he may forget a verse. And that was pushing things quite a lot, because all of us who were on the walk had heard Prabhupada quote a verse not exactly the way it was, or not remember a verse. So it was a bit of a pointed question. And Srila Prabhupada answered again that this is, we have to see not from the material point of view, but we have to see how he said the spiritual master is not a magician, but we have to see how he's engaged in spreading the message of Krishna. That's his perfection. It's not a material thing like magic, but we have to see how his whole life is engaged in the service of Krishna. And there was some elaboration on the point, but that was the fundamental point. If we see from the material point of view, we won't see as things really are. We have to see with, just like the sun, we see the sun as a big ball in the sky, but we have to see with eyes of knowledge, then we can see what the sun actually is. So this discussion was there. Then Srila Prabhupada, after that, gave the morning class in the temple. But my godbrothers who'd been on the walk, they jumped all over me. They said, how could you ask Prabhupada that a question? And that was so offensive, for you to be asking Prabhupada that, in that way, those sorts of questions that, it's just offensive. So after Prabhupada's class, Prabhupada went back up to his room, and he took his breakfast, and I went up and I offered my respects to Srila Prabhupada and said, Srila Prabhupada, that question that I asked this morning, Prabhupada said, what is that? I, recapped the question. I said, Srila Prabhupada, was that offensive? Srila Prabhupada said, not offensive, just ignorant.
That's awesome.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
I guess what I was getting at with the war question has nothing to do with the war.
Okay.
It was about really that each of these faith groups feel as though they're acting through the divine right of their God. So how do we know in which moment and in which way we are working through Krishna's divine magic?
Each faith group thinks that they're working on behalf of God or their God. I find it useful in this context to look at a passage in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It's actually repeating verses from Srimad Bhagavatam that looks at devotees of God as being first class or second class or third class. The third class devotee just sees himself in God. God is present in his temple. God is present in his church or his mosque. But he really just is concerned with himself and God. He doesn't really take into account other devotees of God. He doesn't, it's just about himself and God, that's all. He's considered third class. And the second class devotee sees himself and God and the other devotees of God and innocent persons and demonic persons, persons who are heart and soul against God. So he makes friends with the devotees. He tries to help the innocent, and he avoids the demonic. That's his standard. And the first class devotee sees that everyone is engaged in the service of God. He has a vision which transcends the ordinary. And he sees that somehow or other, even the materialist is engaged in the service of God. Even the demonic are engaged in the service of God. No, he's first class. So I find that useful because we can look at these conflicts between my religion and your religion as really being conflicts between third-class devotees. You know, God is only in my temple. No, God's only in my mosque. No, God's only in my church. No, God's only in my, whatever it is, not in yours. He doesn't appreciate bhakteshu anyeshu, other devotees. Only me and God, and that's not much further than that. And so then they meet other devotees and fight with them. And it doesn't matter that whether I'm Christian or I'm Hindu, because these are universal principles. When these first, second, and third class, it's not first class Hindus, second class Hindus, third class Hindus. It's everybody. The third class devotee is going to be a third class devotee, regardless of what tradition he's in, and he'll act like a third class devotee, and so you get this clashing and this fighting. Then the second class devotees, they'll have a more appreciative approach. I was at a meeting in Durban where I shared a stage with a couple of Muslim clerics and Christian also. And the Muslims were really good because they were saying that the godly people should band together against those who are demonic. Yeah, I liked that. Those who are just promoting viciousness in the world, godly people should stand together against them, not against one another over, who wears what and who bows down in what direction. That was very nice. And first class, of course, they're the saints of this world, and they can't be imitated, but they have that sublime vision that gives a higher understanding even for the second and third class devotees. Is that okay?
That's awesome.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
The perfection of religion, from my understanding, is to cultivate love of Krishna, love of God. So my question is, how do we cultivate more love of God with a heartfelt mood, since it is an art of the heart? It's not so intellectual.
With a heartfelt
mood.
Ah.
So for example, I've heard of chanting like you're stuck in the middle of the ocean. But I'd be curious about maybe an example you might be able to share.
An example? Well, there's so many examples of devotees who call out to Krishna with great love and dedication. Draupadi calls out to Krishna in her prayers. And so many other devotees who are in Vrindavan, the devotees are always calling out to Krishna whenever there's any difficulty, whenever there's, or when there's any threat to Krishna, then they're all chanting Krishna's name. So there are many examples. As far as what we should do, I don't have a one recommendation for everyone. This is what, but we're asked to chant Hare Krishna with sincerity. What that sincerity is, or what feeling may be that may be different at different times. I was just thinking about that because I've been listening to recordings of Srila Prabhupada chanting songs, and they're different recordings of the same song. And sometimes Prabhupada's mood is completely different. It's completely different. Same song, but in one instance it's sort of upbeat, and in another instance it's like almost lamentation. So it's not, well, here's what you do. Here's the mood. It's individual and natural. Go on chanting Hare Krishna. Sometimes you'll feel regret. Sometimes you'll feel joy. Sometimes you'll feel something else. We don't have a ministry of chanting that says, okay, when you chant, this is what you're supposed to feel. We just passed a resolution about it. Go on chanting, and your natural love for Krishna will develop. Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for giving us your time. My question is, and I'm wondering if there's a universal answer for all religions. What is the proof of a successful spiritual practice?
What is the proof of a successful spiritual practice? Nice. No, very good question. In very practical, could almost objective terms, something that you could look at. Bhaktir Parshanubhavo Viraktir Anyatrascha. If someone is successful in their spiritual practice, they become detached from trying to enjoy this material world. Otherwise, it's too, they make a show of tears and rolling on the ground and crying out to the Lord and Haribol or Hosanna or whatever it is. But, meanwhile, they've got a couple of women on the side and they've got a bottle of whiskey in the car. And, so it's all external. It's all a show. And it's all over the world. There are people who are good at it. Make a big show of holiness or religious fervor, but they can't give up even sinful activities. Can't give up gambling, can't give up meat eating, can't give up illicit sex, can't give up intoxicants. Then what is the meaning of their successful spiritual practice? They're still addicted to material activities. So that should be, before we go on to other higher states of attainment, first thing is that we should at least give up gross materialistic activities. And then beyond that, excessive, not gross, but too much in entanglement and, or what would you say, attachment to, over-attachment to material things. That should be the first sign of spiritual achievement. Is that okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, it's practical. Then if you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, then you find out about, super states of spiritual attainment, almost on, what should we say, beyond imagination. The ecstasies that Lord Chaitanya experiences and shares with his devotees. And yes, we find these things. But those things are meaningless, to be in ecstasy or what have you is meaningless unless we're at least free from the material entanglements or material addictions. Is that okay? Yeah, yes. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. So my question is, what would a healed world look like? And what's the role of harmlessness in society? And is there a future, or is there any speaking on decriminalization and
Wow,
demilitarization?
we're already at 4 questions.
Okay.
Let's see. What would a healed world look like? And, or should we start there?
Yeah.
A healed world would look like a world in which everybody was chanting the name of God. Everyone was engaged in the service of God. Yeah. Everyone gives up vicious activities and engages in pure activities.
And then what's the difference between proselytizing and spreading Krishna consciousness?
Words. That's the difference. What's the difference between proselytizing and spreading Krishna consciousness? Words.
Okay.
Yeah. What's the difference between determined and obstinate? If I think it's good, it's determined. If I think it's stupid, then it's obstinate. But it's the same thing. So if I don't like it, then it's proselytizing. If I think it's great, then it's spreading the word. It's the same thing, though. It's just this is what we do with words.
Thank you.
One of the questions were about harmlessness.
Yeah.
What about harmlessness?
So at the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, there's a big war going on, and us as a society
About to go on, yes.
a tradition of militarization. And is there an intersection between harmlessness and fighting?
Yeah. If you want to have harmlessness, you have to have a section of people who fight for it.
Oh, shit. I like that. Can we ask you that?
You don't want violent priests, but you don't want nonviolent policemen. Everyone has a duty to perform. The priest should try to bring in harmony and tolerance and love and so on. And the policeman should be ready to shoot you on the spot if if you're too vicious. So then harmlessness, the same thing, that to protect the vulnerable, you need the exercise of power. The idea that we should have a world where power is not used doesn't work. Doesn't work. Power is necessary. But power should be directed by intelligence and by saintliness, actually. Therefore, in the Vedic traditions, there's actually all over the world, there's always an intelligence section of people, and there's a martial section, then there's a business section, business, farming, agriculture, and there's assistants. So these are people who have different skills, different natures. So at the top, you have to have people with vision, people with spiritual understanding, people who are the eyes of the society, the heads of the society. then under them you have to have people who protect the society. If you don't have protection, then how will things go on? To live a religious life, a peaceful life, a harmless life, someone has to be protecting. So they go together.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Can you all hear me? I don't know if... Okay. So I'm just like having conflicting thoughts.
Sure, say.
I'm having conflicting thoughts in the sense like, just like imagining.
No,
what...
you're being swallowed up by the corner. If you could speak,
Yes.
that
Okay.
that microphone doesn't amplify it. It's just for recording.
How about now?
No,
Now?
the microphone doesn't amplify
It doesn't
your
record?
voice in the room.
Oh, I see.
So you have to yell.
Okay, so I'm having conflicting thoughts, just like imagining, like scenarios, like what would the world look like if everyone's following the same thing versus, of course, right now everyone's like on their own, like following different things, right? Like different religions, faiths, customs, and all that.
What would it look like if this is the same point
Yeah.
that Krishna says the society should naturally be divided into 4 sections. The intelligent, or the head of the society, the part that gives vision and discrimination. Then the part that organizes and protects. And then the section that brings economic development, prosperity, food, and then assistance. Krishna says these 4 sections are there all over the world because they're created by him all over the world. But the Vedic culture recognizes and organizes it accordingly. If everybody were the brain, like these sections are compared to the head, the arms, the abdomen, and the legs. The head sees, the arms protect, belly supplies energy to the whole body, and the legs get us around. If we were all legs, that would be a problem. And all head doesn't work either. So you need all 4 sections. And it doesn't matter, we may be Hindu, we may be Christian, we may be this, we may be that. But these 4 sections are natural. So Krishna says the society should be organized along those lines. Not everybody doing the same thing.
That answers.
Thank you. Sir, time's up. Thank you.
Everyone give a nice round of applause. So we have some of the books that Maharaj published. This is Vanity Karma. It's a deep dive into the most philosophical section of the Bible called Ecclesiastes. So it's like a blend of the Vedic tradition, looking through the Abrahamic there. And then, just as Maharaj was saying, we don't have like standards of how, like we're not policing your emotions, but we do try to make sure our kirtan, that we're doing everything very beautifully, very nicely, following in the tradition. So he has a book about how to do kirtan. What is the ancient tradition of kirtan? Not that we just make up songs that are not coming from the ancient tradition. And so both of these books are available, and you can get them from Maharaj outside. They'll have a place, and you can also ask Maharaj, maybe you can give us a signature there. And so at this time, we're going to do a short kirtan, and we invite all of you to. So all of you can. Mani Manjari? Yes, yeah, Mani Manjari. So Mani Manjari is going to lead the kirtan, and then we're going to invite you for a delicious dinner. Stand, everyone can stand up. Yes, everyone can stand up. Yes, yes. Yes, that's for you.
Like you can stay here, Maharaj.
I can stay here.
If you like.
Okay, I think I will.
How long? 10, 15 minutes? Okay, no problem. Yeah.
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Everyone please sing. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vivo. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Everyone, please. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Everyone. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. It's too high, but you can do it. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vivo. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Vivo! Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Last one. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Let's sing one more mantra all together, as loudly and as deeply and as sincerely as we can, from the bottom of our hearts. All together. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One more time. That was so sweet. I want to replicate it. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One more time? Okay, let's do it one more time. But we have to make it even louder so the people in Govinda's can hear us. The people at the Hilton across the street can hear us. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Nitya Gaur Premanande Hari Bol.